Lightning carved angry scars across the night. All of Feldgrove held its breath, but Arin was different, too curious to fear, too restless to sleep. Swirling winds rattled their window with a rhythm that sounded almost musical, a secret cadence only Arin seemed to hear. Out past the fields, a shimmer hung in the air, a twisting, shifting glow where the woods met the dark. "You see that, boy?" Grandfather's rough whisper broke the silence, his gnarled hand resting heavy on Arin's shoulder. Both stared at the impossible spectacle as tendrils of pale blue energy wove through the trembling alder trees. Arin forced out a reply, voice barely more than a breath. "It's never done that before." "Aether doesn't just dance for anyone," Grandfather muttered. "But tonight, the threads want to be seen." Questions pressed at Arin's lips, but before he could speak, a thunderous impact rippled through the soil. Fields erupted in geysers of emerald mist, and unseen forces tore chunks of reality apart, twisting the night into strange, impossible shapes. Mother burst through the door, pale as bone. "The shift," she cried. "Run." Almost too late, they scattered for shelter. As Arin dashed behind the ancient oak, a single whisper echoed in his mind. Not words, not really, just a pulse, a feeling, a summons. And in the midst of chaos, Arin's eyes widened as the shimmering threads curled around him, recognizing him, welcoming him. From the woods, a figure wrapped in shadow and starlight strode forward, staff humming with frostfire. "So the Aether calls to you, little one?" The stranger's voice was warm, yet bristled with secrets. "Kuloria is changing, and you could change with it, if you're brave enough." Arin gulped. "Who are you?" A sly smile. "Someone who can teach you to listen." All around them the night split and reformed. With every heartbeat, Arin knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Arin's breath came in quick bursts as he stared at the stranger. The figure's cloak shimmered, one moment blue as river ice, the next dark as midnight. The staff they held pulsed with an inner glow, as if it carried a piece of the storm within its craggy wood. "I am called Cirrus," the stranger said, their eyes flickering like lanterns. "Speak your true name, and the Aether may bless you." Arin swallowed. "My name is Arin of Feldgrove." Cirrus inclined their head. "A name woven clean." "Good. You heard the shift before the rest. You saw the threads twist when all others looked away. That makes you rare and essential." They motioned Arin to walk. The fields, torn and changed by the cataclysm, steamed with strange colors. Villagers peered fearfully from ruined doorways. "What happened?" Arin asked, his voice shaking. "The Aether Shift," Cirrus replied. "Ancient balance is undone. The Guardians stir, and those with ability like you must help rebalance the world. But I'm just a farmer's son. I don't know anything." Cirrus knelt beside Arin, gaze intense. "Greatness grows from quiet soil. You are not alone, and you do not need to know everything, only how to listen." A soft rustling drew Arin's attention. Small sprites lit by the blue ether skittered around his feet, chittering questions only he could almost understand. "You hear them, don't you?" Cirrus smiled. "Let it in. The ether is not just for the mighty, but also the willing." Reluctant but fascinated, Arin focused. As he exhaled, the blue-white threads spun tighter, tiny voices merging into a clear thought. "Help us. Save us. Remember the old library. The old library, my grandfather's stories always warned us away. It was lost to darkness ages ago." Cirrus rose, cloak swirling. "The knowledge there could steady the shift, but darkness guards old wisdom. You'll need courage and allies." A sudden shout rang out farther down the path. A shadowy figure watched them, a dark sigil crackling across its brow. Cirrus tensed. "We're not alone. The cabal stirs. Let's move quickly, Arin." Heart hammering, Arin stepped into the ether-lit night, the taste of destiny sharp on his tongue. The village receded behind them, veiled in tattered wisps of mist. Arin glanced back once, feeling as if he was leaving his old life behind forever. At Cirrus's side he stayed silent, questions bottling up until one finally burst forth. "Those people, my family, will they be safe?" Cirrus nodded, but shadows played at the corners of their eyes. "Safer than most. The Aether does not forget kin, but the shift is everywhere now. Help us heal the source, and they'll have hope." They hurried along the broken cart road, ducking beneath hanging boughs glowing pale with lingering magic. The forest twitched with energy, trees muttering in languages lost long ago. Ahead, Cirrus paused, raising a warning hand. "Stay quiet. A guardian approaches." A presence vast and ancient shimmered into being, mist condensed into a towering figure of bark and vine, eyes like lanterns deep-set and glowing. When it spoke, the ground itself seemed to rumble. "Why do you trespass in the deepening wood?" Arin shrank, heart pounding, but Sarah stepped forward with a ceremonial bow. "We seek passage to the old library, Root Warden. The world is unmoored." The Root Warden regarded Arin with unsettling intensity. "The child holds the weave's favor, but is he of courage or only curiosity? Answer me, human. Why risk all for old secrets?" Arin's throat tightened, but he met the Guardian's gaze. "Because I'm the only one who hears the Aether's whispers. Someone has to listen and help." A pause, then a single rough laugh like thunder through roots. "Good. Only the listening can mend what's sundered." The ground split at their feet, revealing a hidden path spiraling down among glowing tree roots. The Root Warden's form faded, but his voice lingered. "The way is open, but beware. The Cabal's eyes are sharp, and they hunger for power." Cirrus pressed a trembling hand to Arin's shoulder. "You spoke well. The Guardians respect honesty. Every challenge you face will demand a new strength. Ready?" "Not really," Arin admitted, "but I'll go." Together they plunged into the secret path, deeper into realms where the very air crackled with ancient magic and unseen threat. The path beneath the roots twisted, brushed by faintly glowing fungus and snaking vines that whispered in clicks and sibilants. Every step echoed, as if countless unseen eyes watched their descent. Arin pressed forward, nose wrinkling from the sweet, mossy air, mind buzzing with questions. "Cirrus," he whispered nervously, "you said others could help." "Yes, but you must trust who you let close." Cirrus's staff glimmered, casting shifting patterns across the tunnel walls. "There's an Aether forged at the crossroads. Half spirit, half born of storm. We'll need Lyra's guidance to find the library's true entrance." They rounded a bend, and a pulse of electricity brushed Arin's skin. From a tangle of luminous roots erupted a figure, hair crackling with blue sparks, eyes wild and bright. "You're late," the newcomer spat, voice sharp as sleet. "The Cabal stalks these tunnels. If not for the Root Warden's favor, you'd have been torn apart." Cirrus gave a wry smile. "Still dramatic as ever, Lyra? And you're still too trusting." Lyra eyed Arin, sizing him up. "He has the scent of the weave, but can he survive what's to come?" Arin tried to stand tall. "I hear things others don't. I'm ready to try." Without warning, a tremor shook the roots overhead. Faint shrieks echoed down the tunnel, dark, whispery voices. Lyra scowled, motioning for them to move. "Prove it. The Cabal's shadows test the paths. Listen." Arin closed his eyes, focusing on the vibrations in the air. The Aether's threads shimmered at the edge of his consciousness, forming a pattern, warning of danger ahead on the main tunnel. The left fork. Shadows wait by the right. Cirrus and Lyra exchanged a glance, then nodded in grudging approval. "Lid, then," Lyra said, voice softened. "But keep your ears open. The Aether's song grows stranger the closer we get." Together, they hurried into the left passage, cowered deeper into the roots. The darkness grew thicker, but Arin felt the threads tugging him onward, to secrets, to danger, and to something ancient that waited just ahead. Shadows melted and twisted along the curving root path as Arin led the way. Every nerve tingled with the sense of being watched. There were no lights now, only the faint gleam of Cirrus's staff and the spark dancing from Lyra's hair. The tunnels narrowed, and the air pulsed with an anxious rhythm. Suddenly, a wall of tangled roots blocked their path. Lyra stepped forward, palm crackling with blue fire, but Cirrus stopped her gently. "Let Arin try. The Aether will open what it wishes." Arin swallowed, eyeing the living barrier. He pressed his palms against the bark, pushing his senses outward. Whispers bloomed in his mind, memories of sap rising, storms passing, laughter echoing through Feldgrove trees. A knot of longing formed in his chest, for his home, for understanding. "Please," Arin whispered, "show me, trust me." The barrier quivered, glowing threads unwound, curling away to reveal a narrow doorway beyond. Lyra whistled in surprise. "Well, you've a rare touch, human." But there was no time to celebrate. Voices echoed from behind, a guttural chant, dark and sticky, swelling with menace. The Cabal was close. Cirrus's face turned grim. "We must hurry. They'll twist the Aether to shatter the entrance if we dawdle." They hurried down the revealed passage. At its end, a vast cavern unfolded, lit by hanging crystals casting rainbows upon ancient shelves and scrolls. The old library's heart, rows of floating tomes bobbed in the air. and at its center, atop a dais, stood a colossal stone arch inscribed with runes that pulsed in time with Arin's own heartbeat. Lyra exhaled in awe. The Codex Gate. They say only one who truly hears the weave can open its vault. From the arch's shadow, a pair of red eyes blinked, then a cloaked figure stepped into the light, sigils burning on their skin. The cabal had arrived. Cirrus stepped protectively in front of Arin. Remember what's at stake. If the cabal gets the codex, all Kuloria could unravel. Arin squared his shoulders, feeling the latent power of the ether rise within him. For the first time, he didn't feel quite so afraid. The cabal's emissary glided closer, motioning with slender fingers. Shadows coiled and wreathed at their feet, their presence shivering through the ether like a discordant note. The emissary's voice was a silken hiss. "Step aside. The codex belongs to those who have the will to command it. You're just children playing with lost secrets." Cirrus gripped their staff, eyes locked on the enemy. Lyra's hair danced with nervous sparks. But Arin felt a strange calm. He could sense the codex's pulse, a silent summons echoing through every thread of the library. Arin held his ground. "Kuloria belongs to everyone. If you take the codex, you'll rip this world apart." The emissary sneered. "Foolish boy, the shift is only the beginning. The ether must be reshaped by those who understand true power. Stand down or be consumed." Without warning, the ground trembled. Dark tendrils shot from the emissary's cloak, lashing at Cirrus and Lyra. Cirrus swept their staff, forming a shimmering barrier of frost that shattered two of the shadows. Lyra launched a bolt of crackling blue energy, driving the emissary back a step. "Arin, the codex!" Cirrus shouted. "Only you can open it." Arin raced up the dais. The arcane runes on the stone arch blazed as he approached. He pressed his hands to the cold surface, letting the ether's whispers fill him. Ancient voices, fragments of knowledge and memory, rushed through his mind. He pictured his home, his family, the courage he'd borrowed and made his own. He reached deeper, searching for the pattern within chaos, the harmony inside the storm. "Help me, reveal the path." The codex gate pulsed once, twice, and then the archway split open, a spill of ethereal light flooding the chamber and halting the battle. From within, a spectral map hovered, showing lines of force, etheric wounds across Kuloria, and the hidden sources of the shift. The emissary's scream rang out, furious and afraid. "No, you're just a child!" Arin turned, something new, a quiet strength alive in his eyes. "Maybe, but this world isn't yours to break." The cabal's shadows reeled, but the knowledge was out for all who could wield it. Cirrus nodded with a rare pride. "There's more to do, Arin, more dangers ahead, but today you chose hope over fear." As the codex's light spilled outward into the library, Arin realized the real trial wasn't in unlocking ancient secrets. It was in being willing to change and to protect those who could not. The codex's brilliant glow faded to a steady hum, its map hovering between Arin's outstretched hands. Wounds in Kuloria's ether blazed like embers along the spectral landscape. Cirrus hurried to Arin's side, scanning the swirling lines of force. Lyra stood guard, eyes narrowed at the cabal emissary, but the shadows had slithered back, forced to retreat by the light and the unbreakable resolve in Arin's stance. Arin's voice trembled as he traced a jagged red path on the map. "Here, this is the source, the greatest wound. It's near the Veil of Sorrows." Cirrus nodded gravely. "That scar is where the shift started. If we mend it, the balance could be restored. But the veil, nothing has crossed its threshold in 1,000 years. Lyra scoffed, crackling with energy. "And I suppose you want us to march straight into the darkest place in Kuloria now?" Cirrus regarded her with a steady gaze. "Would you rather trust the cabal to get there first?" Lyra grumbled but said no more. Arin stepped from the dais, the codex map swirling after him like a living thing. "I have to go. I can't walk away now, not when there's hope." A faint knock startled them all. From the library shadows emerged a strange shape, a fox-like spirit, silver-furred and glowing, nose twitching curiously at Arin. "The ether fox," Cirrus breathed. "A guide from the old tales. We're not alone, after all." The fox's gaze pierced Arin, then it bowed its head, motioning them to follow. In its presence, the ether's threads felt lighter, clearer, a path opening where once there had only been fear. Lyra strode after it, muttering, "Well, I suppose a miracle beats skulking alone." As they left the ancient library, Cirrus laid a reassuring hand on Arin's shoulder. "You listened when others ran. Remember that when the veil tries to make you forget who you are. With the Codex's secrets now guiding them, and unlikely hope twining through their spirits, Arin, Lyra, Ceres, and their new Aetherfox ally plunged toward the Vale of Sorrows, where darkness stirred and the real fight for Kuloria's fate would begin. The woods grew stranger as Arin and his companions moved beyond the old library. Threads of ether hung thick as cobwebs. The air tingled with the sound of distant memories and forgotten songs, vibrating against their bones. The Aetherfox darted ahead, coaxing them forward even as mists thickened into a soupy silver haze. They reached a shattered ravine, the Vale of Sorrows. Black spires jutted like broken teeth and the ground shuddered with echoes of ancient grief. The very ether here felt bruised, rippling in uneven waves. Lyra bristled, sparks shooting from her fingertips. I don't like this. Even my own lightning. Ceres knelt, staff rooted in the trembling earth. The veil feeds on despair. It will try to twist your mind. Stay close. A sudden cold slithered up Arin's spine. Shadows shifted at the edge of the ravine. Whispers rose, sharp, taunting, full of old regrets. You are small. You will fail. You don't belong. Arin shook his head, gripping the Codex map. I came this far. I'm not turning back. The Aetherfox yipped, leaping into the mist. A bridge of flickering blue threads appeared beneath its paws, crossing the ravine. Arin took the first step, the bridge stabilizing behind him with every act of will. Lyra hesitated, but Arin offered his hand. Come on, we're stronger as a team. She eyed him, then grinned and followed, Ceres behind, staff pulsing for balance. As they crossed, shades grasped at their fears. Lyra saw visions of storms lost to darkness. Ceres heard the names of old friends he could not save, and Arin felt every ounce of his doubt swirl like a storm inside his chest. But Arin remembered Feldgrove. He remembered the Root Warden's faith, Ceres's calm, Lyra's bravery, even when she doubted, and most of all, the Aether's gentle call. Midway across, the Cabal's emissary emerged within the mist, their voice echoing every doubt and failure. You will fall. No mortal weaver can bind wounds this deep. Ceres raised their staff, Lyra charged her fists, but it was Arin who stood tall. Maybe I can't, but together we have a chance. He reached through his own fear, weaving fresh threads of hope, forming a clear path to the far side of the veil. The bridge became solid, the shadows recoiled. The companions hurried across, the Aetherfox leading with a triumphant yip. As the veil faded behind them, Arin realized that courage didn't mean the absence of fear. It meant moving through it, step by step, for those who needed him most. The wounded heart of Kuloria loomed ahead, pulse weak but steady. The final trial, and the true confrontation with the Cabal, awaited. Dawn broke in pale slivers across the scarred land beyond the veil. Here the heart of the ether wound pulsed, a chasm rimmed with twisted stone, its depths swirling with stormlight and roaring with silent pain. Even the Aetherfox hesitated, tail low as it circled the edge. The Cabal was already there, arrayed in a semicircle. Their cloaks rippled with black sigils. At the center stood the emissary, flanked by figures whose eyes burned silver with stolen power. They chanted in discordant tones, feeding the wound with more shadow, threads of dark energy dragging at the world's very fabric. Ceres gripped Arin's shoulder. This is it. The wound was made by greed and fear. It must be healed by unity, by trust, not force. Can you let us through, Arin? He looked at his friends. Lyra and nodded. The Aetherfox pressed against his side. Even Ceres, so wise and unyielding, now waited on Arin's lead. Summoning all he'd learned, Arin held the Codex aloft, letting its map shine out. The Aether's threads shimmered in answer. He reached for Ceres's hand, then Lyra's, urging them to form a circle. The Aetherfox leapt to Arin's arms, completing the link. The Cabal hissed in outrage. You think a child's hope can mend this? The emissary snarled, voice cracking with barely hidden fear. You know nothing. This wound is our future. Arin met their gaze. No, it's everyone's loss until we heal it. Together, the companions channeled the Codex's light into the chasm. Slowly, pale threads spun outward, forming stitches in the wounded ether. The ground shook as the Cabal unleashed their powers, whipping shadow like knives, trying to sever hope itself. A blinding struggle erupted. For every bright thread Arin wove, the Cabal sought to unravel too. Memories of pain, doubt, loneliness, each became a shadow lashing at the circle. It was almost too much. Lyra's strength faltered, Ceres staggered, even the Aetherfox whimpered. Yet at the breaking point, something shifted. Arin reached into the wound not with power, but with empathy, flooding it with every moment of kindness and courage he'd gathered. Faces of home, echoes of laughter, the trust of friends, all shone through his weave. Aether began to resist the cabal, defying the darkness. The wound shimmered with new life. The emissary screamed, shadows writhing away. "You will never finish! We are the future." But Arin's voice rang clear. "We are the hope you can't erase." Light flared, spilling over the land. The wound began to close, but the cabal would not surrender. Shadows, cornered, twisted into a monstrous shape, intent on crushing Arin and his friends before the healing could be complete. On the brink of triumph, the greatest threat had emerged. Whatever happened next, Arin knew it was not just about magic. It was about every choice, every friendship, every piece of hope woven into Kuloria's tapestry. The final battle had begun, and when the end came, there would be no quick victory, only what they could create together against the darkness.